So today we're going to be reviewing your most recent results from your re-examination and your re-x-rays. So when you first came into the office, your health, it reflected every single emotional, chemical, and physical stress you've experienced in your life up until that point. And these stresses cause those subluxation patterns, and they've impacted your nervous system. Subluxation is a progressive, relentless neurospinal disease that, if not addressed and corrected, it interferes with the communication between your brain and your body, and it prevents it from healing, repairing, and regenerating. It literally affects every single experience in your life. So the goal of your initial intensive care, it was to stabilize the problem, it was to stop the damage, and it was to get you moving in the right direction. And in other words, ultimately it was starting the healing process. But before this could happen, we had to release these unhealthy patterns that have developed over your lifetime and lay the foundation for the corrective process. By the end of this initial intensive portion of care, which is typically the 3 times a week, the 2 times a week, the part of your care where you're coming into the office more frequently, this is when people come back to us and they say, I have more energy. Like, I just feel better after my adjustments. I'm sleeping better. It's easier for me to go to the bathroom. My immune system seems like it's stronger. My allergies aren't as bad. That's the changes that we get to see within the office. And if you can feel that you can confidently say, yeah, I have experienced some of those things, that's how we know, okay, your nervous system is balanced, you're through that initial intensive portion of care. But if you can't say, I haven't noticed those things yet, well, we might not be done. We might need to change up those postural habits. We might need to change up the foods that you're eating, make sure that you're more committed to your home care. Healing is a process, and it takes time. So once you are through that initial intensive portion of care, we begin to be able to focus on the corrective portion of care. So the corrective portion is where we get to see these incredible structural changes within the spine. So these structural changes, this is all about retraining the muscles and ligaments of the spine to stay in this new healthy alignment. This is where pain levels are reduced. This is where we get to see the nervous system communicating and functioning at 100%, and ultimately you expressing life at a higher, incredible capacity. So really how well we see within these changes of your spine, it depends on how well have you followed the recommendations that were initially provided to you. But this is the kind of change, this example right here with Tina, that we want to see with every single practice member of ours. And then once we're through corrective care, the next phase of care, which is hopefully where we're at today, is either wellness care or maintenance care. And yes, we do differentiate the two. So wellness care, that requires a weekly checkup. So if my job is to keep your body functioning at 100%, then it's consistently removing the interferences, not allowing itself to do that. And of all the almost 10 years of experience I have doing this, weekly is where people truly stay well. They get to hold the changes that they've seen within their spine. They get sick less. I mean, chiropractic ultimately, it has compounding benefits. So that's where I get to see the most incredible health changes within our practice members. And ultimately, you're treating chiropractic care not as a symptom and then get an adjustment, but it's ideally preventing symptoms and making any kind of, we like to say expressions of health instead of symptoms, making those things happen fewer and far further between, because ultimately your body's functioning better. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is maintenance care. And maintenance care, this is if you look at your x-rays, if we talk about your goals and you say, hey, you know what? I'm really happy with where my current level of health is at, and I just want to maintain it. I'm not ready to implement anything new at this time. I just want to stay here. And that's what maintenance care is. So ultimately, today is not only about whether you feel better now. Of course we want that, but it's about you continuing to feel better for the rest of your life. Because innately, we all want to be healthy, right? It's not like anybody ever wants to be sick. I see a lot of people that are sick, but of course, once we lose our health, we'll do anything that it takes to get it back. So imagine that today was your last adjustment ever. You did not have access to receiving another adjustment for the rest of your life. That would mean that from now on, your nervous system, it would be interfered with, it would be left uncorrected, and the function of your health for the rest of your life, it would be impacted. So studies show that when someone is subluxated, within 2 weeks, there are permanent degenerative changes within the spine. They also found that when there's nerve pressure, within 30 minutes, the ability of that nerve to control function, it's reduced by 60%. What's crazy about this is they found that if you leave this pressure for greater than 2 weeks, there's also permanent nerve damage. So we have permanent degenerative changes and permanent nerve damage, which causes cellular damage within the body. And this is why our minimum recommendations between adjustments to maintain this new level of health is once every 2 weeks. If my job is to keep you well, Well, I'm not keeping you well if you have neurological damage or structural damage developing within your spine that I'm trying to reverse every single time that I see you. So as you now know, because we've probably told you a lot of times by now, your nervous system controls every single function in your body. And your body is always doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason. So health comes from when your nervous system is functioning and healing at 100%. And ultimately, if you're functioning and healing 100%, you're going to feel 100% as well. So health does not come from a pill, it doesn't come from a lotion or a potion, and there's no magic for health. It's all about your body's ability to function, communicate, heal, and feel at 100%. Remember, when you look at your x-rays, you want to be straight from the front to back, and then you want these good curves from the side. And not only do all of your muscles attach to your spine, so when you have this abnormal spinal alignment, that puts tension and pulling on the muscles, but more importantly, it puts a pathological tension on your spinal cord, not allowing your body to function at its fullest capacity. So either you're really happy with where you're at, or maybe you want to continue improving, or maybe you didn't get much change at all. And in that case, we might need to figure out what's interfering with your body's ability to heal. Remember, the things that subluxate our spine, they're chemical, they're physical, they're emotional. So we might need to change some habits within your lifestyle, because we can continue correcting subluxation, but if you're resubluxating yourself faster than we can correct it, then we have to remove those interferences. So we might need to talk about, okay, what's next? What do we need to do to help continue or start you moving in a better direction? We want you to feel like you're in the right place. We're here to come alongside you within this journey towards better health and towards your body functioning, healing, and feeling at 100%.